Before this courtroom even gets serious, you're about to witness something most people never notice: the calm before the legal storm. What starts as casual conversation, jokes about robots, movies, and everyday life, is about to shift into a high-stakes legal battle where one man's freedom hangs in the balance. This isn't just another hearing. This is a probation revocation case where the rules are different, the pressure is higher, and the consequences hit fast. A man already given chances is back in front of a judge, and this time, the question is simple. Does he walk out again, or does it finally end in prison?
Morning. Oh, it's not even 9:30 yet, Megan. You guys are on time. Oh, could you hand me his files?
All three of them, yeah, can you go around?
Yes.
Yesterday when I got my this morning.
Oh, so they say that there was a mass robo-taxi malfunction in China. And they said 100 of them stopped. See, you know what? And here's my thing about all of this. People act as though they have not seen the Terminator and how that originated according to the movies, right? I mean, there's iRobot. What more do we need?
Or RoboCop.
Oh, yes. And you know, my friend, she's like, Stephanie, I'm going to get a home robot. I'm like, you have not seen iRobot?
I will have a Roomba just because I'm lazy and.
Okay, so here's my question regarding the Roomba. I was at an event and it was a raffle, and I was like, hopefully I win that. But I'm just concerned with the cleaning of it.
Oh,
I mean, if you're just letting it roam on your floor,
yeah.
does it have a docking station that cleans it, or do you have to clean it?
It has a docking station. My sister has one. It cleans her floors.
Mhm. So I just don't know.
Yeah.
And then I've seen these homes where you can sweep your floor, and then they have something in the wall where you sweep it in the wall and it sucks it through.
Oh,
like the in-wall vacuums?
Yes.
Yeah, I think those are so neat.
So where do you clean that? See, I'm all about that. Where does it go? Where does the dirt go?
I imagine it would have to have some kind of
like a vacuum,
base.
like a
Yeah,
vacuum.
it's a vacuum system. There's lines that run to a central tree where the vacuum is actually at. And then you can just access it from each room.
I don't trust
So
that.
it's like out in the garage or something. People have had friends that have had those. That would be expensive to, I would think, unless you did it at the time you got the house built.
No, and then what does that breaks down?
Yeah, then you got a hole in every wall with the vacuum connection.
Oh, yeah.
At least two.
See, I don't know. Thank you, Deputy. Oh, Deputy Laura left. Oh, Cindy, my jasmine is blooming. It smells divine.
At your house.
Yes. Jasmine smells so great. Jasmine, I have a mixture that's happening at my house and my neighbors love it. It's jasmine, gardenias, and I just planted some wisteria that I'm gonna have to remove and put somewhere else, or relocate, I should say. Because wisteria, I had one in my backyard and it tore the fence down because it's very heavy. And it's been planted next to my home. That's not good.
They grow large roots, is that?
Oh, very thick. If you look at, but it smells divine. So, and I was finally able to get honeysuckle, so yay. All right, are you all ready?
Yes.
All right, and I'm,
Let me get Lindsay's on her way. She's,
okay, and I have not made a decision on anything else, but I see that there's no trial court certification that's been filled out.
oh, I'll do that.
Okay. And that's just in case. Thank you. And Cindy, I still haven't completed A Vase in the Window by Kate Collins. Trying to figure out who killed the next door neighbor.
You bring my drives down? I'm not done.
There's one or two,
Oh, Charles, it's two.
Thank you, you're right.
there's tomorrow.
Tomorrow's first.
Yeah.
What?
It's today.
It's different.
Well, whenever they're ready,
Yeah.
because I think he's set coming up pretty soon, according to what he said yesterday. Like next
Oh,
Tuesday.
they're informing me. They both informed me that they thought they were, you guys are not having witnesses. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, this is a key moment most viewers might overlook, but it's huge. Both sides confirm they are not calling witnesses. That completely changes the dynamic of this hearing. Instead of dramatic testimony, emotional cross-examinations, or surprise revelations, this case will rely heavily on arguments, evidence already submitted, and credibility. And in a revocation hearing, that's often enough. So here's something to think about. When there are no witnesses to sway emotions, does the case become more fair or more dangerous for the defendant?
Correct?
Correct.
They've informed me they're not going to call witnesses.
Why don't they do that? That's what they said. Why don't we do?
Okay, they have a new movie out on Prime called Crime 101. I'm about to see what that's about.
Okay, I have not seen that one, but there's a very enjoyable series on Netflix called Homicide New York.
I've been
So
watching
this
that.
weekend, I'm like, I'm gonna relax. It's like watching murder.
Okay, Homicide New York.
Watch it. It's really, really, really good. There's 2 seasons in New York. There's one LA season. I was not a fan of the LA season, but the New York season is really good.
All right, so I'm going to remind you because you all are young people. I'm in the twilight of my life. So is this something where I'm going to watch it and I'm going to say like, I'm glad I subtracted that time for my
I
life?
think so. Except in the second season, I was like, what are New York juries doing? Like they were just going way too light on sentences. Like one of the guys got serial rapist / murderer and he only got 33 years. I'm like,
One of them got 15 to life.
oh yeah, I'm like, what is going on?
Well, I will. Okay, so is it a true crime or is it?
It's true crime.
No, it's true.
Oh, yeah, I don't like watching true crime. I live that, but I live it.
I know. That's what I was saying. I was trying to relax and I'm like, yeah.
That's why
I'm let me watch
The
this.
guy disappeared and killed him in his car and it was the husband that was in Los Angeles.
I only watched like one of them. I didn't like one.
He was an executive at Warner Brothers or something. He had like 2 affairs with his wife. And one lady he had met at a rehab. And he ended up going just to talk to her as a friend and the husband came out and lost it. He started following and killed it in the car. She goes inside and says, if you don't leave, you're next. And so she doesn't say anything. He has someone take the car, someone take the phone, he's been to the pen before, so he's get rid of all the evidence, but they ended up getting him, but he only got like.
See, I'm like, what is going on?
I know.
That
Well,
someone
he took a plea. He
Oh,
didn't-
okay.
he wasn't convicted.
Like,
Oh, no, they did have a trial on that one,
yeah.
but they didn't find him guilty of the premeditated, so it wasn't capital, that's what it was. But he clearly.
I guess they did like seven passion. No, did you watch the second season of New York?
I was on it, I just.
Okay. The first one, it was like extremely heinous. Like I only got like, I don't remember. It was like 33. I was like, what are they doing up there? Because they do things different in that their ADAs go to the homicide scene with the homicide detective.
Yeah. they
Which
wanna
I was
see-
like, oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, they
but-
got a crime scene.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I want to go over there. But then like I saw the sentences and they don't have a death penalty. I'm like, I'm getting Texas.
You know, there was a guy I would have come speak to my class because he's from Puerto Rico. And he said, yeah,
The
in
DA
Puerto
officer?
Rico, yeah.
Mhm.
And he said in Puerto Rico, they actually have to go out to the crime scene.
Oh, really?
And he said it works out great because they're able to tell officers, hey, we need to collect this, we need to collect that.
I would love that. Like,
Mhm.
I would love that. Probably other people in my
You'd
office
be
would.
very, very busy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love it.
If you wouldn't have a second to yourself.
Well, he said that you're just on call. Yeah. No, he said that what they do is they put you on call, like, you know, it's your rotation.
Judge, I'm speaking words of prophecy from to Megan for a while already.
Yeah.
Hey,
I've been telling her that for a while. I tell her when she becomes chief.
hey.
Chief? From princess to chief? You skipped queen.
All right. Our party's ready?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Eric, come on up.
Just 1 second here.
What makes that noise? How do y'all sit here and listen to that noise all day and night?
What?
You hear that? Oh, God.
Oh, there's a lot going on here. No, my
Oh,
fan
it's-
is off. I'm not having a hot
You
flash.
hear
at the
it?
moment.
No, you hear it? She hears it. Over here somewhere. I don't know if it's that speaker. Or,
This is speaker.
Oh, it happens.
no, it's,
No, it's the feedback, I think, for the mics, no?
I don't think so. I don't know. Just, I heard it the other day, it was driving me crazy today. I hear it and like, oh.
All right, before we start, Ms. Abrams, can you look up, was there any restitution in either of these cases? Do you have a copy of the court's admonishment with the plea? Let me show you this. And state defense, if y'all can speak with Ms. Abrams about the restitution that's listed. Thank you.
I guess it was
Okay.
And it's the same in both cases. And I don't know if nothing has ever been reported, then, you know, I will not order it.
Nothing has been reported.
Okay, all right, that solves that problem. All right. court
And just like that, everything shifts. The casual tone disappears, and the courtroom locks in. This is now official. The state versus Eric Cantu. What we're watching isn't a trial from scratch. It's a review of whether he violated the terms of his probation. And here's the reality, probation is already a second chance. So when someone comes back to court like this, the judge isn't just asking what happened. They're asking, did you waste the opportunity you were given? That's a much tougher position to defend.
All right, court is calling 2024 CR 1237 and 2024 CR 1238, State versus Eric Cantu. Can I have parties announced?
Megan Galloway and Lauren Espinosa for the state.
Charles Buck and Lindsay Shaw from Mr. Cantu.
And are you Mr. Cantu?
Yes.
All right. We were having a contested hearing, and the state had read into the record on the First Amendment motion to revoke community supervision in each of the cases, violations of condition number 1 and 21. To those violations, Mr. Cantu pled not true. The court took testimony, defense. The state has rested with their witnesses. Do you have any witnesses?
No, we don't, Judge, just brief argument.
All
If
right,
the-
so state defense, do you rest and close?
The state rest in close.
We do, Judge.
All right,
This
so
part is critical to understand. The defense even admits it. The burden of proof here is lower than a normal trial. That means the prosecution doesn't need airtight, beyond a reasonable doubt evidence. They just need enough to convince the judge that violations likely happened. That's why revocation hearings are so dangerous for defendants. Because even a partially convincing case can still send someone to prison. So ask yourself, should the system make it easier to revoke someone's freedom once they're already on probation?
all right, so before, of course, the court makes a ruling on whether the allegations are true or not true, the court will hear argument if either party has argument.
Yes, Judge. At this time, the state is going to ask that you grant the state's motion, revoke the defendant's community supervision, and sentence him to his underlying sentence. And at this time, we'll reserve the remainder of our time for rebuttal.
All right.
Judge, on behalf of Mr. Cantu, Mr. Cantu and Lindsay and myself are certainly aware of the burden of proof that's required in a case like this. And we understand that it's a lower burden than would be in a trial per se. That being said, I think that the evidence does support certainly the violation of 21. Did he leave without permission? Yes, he did.
The defense takes a smart but risky angle here. They admit the action, but justify the intent. They're saying, yes, he went there without permission, but he believed his child and her mother could be in danger. That's emotionally powerful. It reframes the situation from criminal behavior to parental concern. But here's the problem. Courts don't just evaluate intentions, they evaluate choices. And entering someone's home without permission? That's a serious line to cross. So what matters more to you? Why he did it, or the fact that he did
Yes,
it?
he did. What I want to point out to the court is the reasons that he left and the exigent circumstances that in his mind existed at that time. The testimony from the complainant was that in agreement with what Mr. Cantu believed, and his text messages show the same, that he thought she was home. And the daughter at that time was just over a year old. He called her, and as the complainant also testified, she received multiple calls from Mr. Cantu that she didn't answer, even though she wasn't home as he thought. So at this point, she also testified that she had been the victim, or she had had some incidences of harassment and stalking from other people, and she was very clear to point out these threats and stalkings were not related to Eric. And that was one of the reasons she stayed at Eric's house. That's the reason that she testified that she asked Eric's mother to assist in her getting out of that lease because of these threats from individuals other than Eric. So now you have Mr. Cantu, who on that night, knowing that there have been past threats towards her, not being able to reach her when she's home, he goes over to her house and knocks on the door. She doesn't answer. So at that point, he's able to get in through the sliding glass door and check to see if she's there. I mean, and that is consistent with the father who would be concerned for the mother of his child and his child. So while I expect that the court could certainly find it true, I would say there's an explanation at least for the court hopefully to understand why he did what he did, as far as going over there without first getting the permission or getting somebody to answer the phone so he could talk to about this. Now,
And here's where the defense narrative starts to crack. Because even if the court believes he was concerned, how do you explain taking the iPad? That action doesn't align with urgency or protection. It raises questions about motive. And then there's the victim's delayed reaction. She didn't immediately call police, which the defense uses to weaken credibility. But delays in reporting can mean many things: confusion, fear, or complicated relationships. So now the situation isn't clear-cut anymore, it's messy. And messy cases are the hardest to judge.
Now, the burglary thing, the iPad, did he take the iPad? Yes, he did. I mean, and I think the evidence shows that the iPad, as the one of the evidence from the state is the picture of the iPad at his home. So that is certainly an issue. The evidence also, I mean, I think the most concerning point about that part of the case is that the complainant testified, had it not been for Eric texting her about what he found on the iPad, she would have never called the police. You know, she didn't wait and stuff. She didn't call the police when she knew the iPad was moving. She didn't call the police when she saw Eric at his door. She went and got her food and she went to work. And it wasn't until she found out what Eric had found out on the iPad that then she decided to call the police. And then even the police in their own testimony said if it hadn't been for the fact that he was Eric Cantu, they wouldn't have written a report. And the IDR says, at least because of who he is, write a report. So Eric Cantu sits before you today with the unfortunate addition that he's Eric Cantu. If he was Charles Bosco, Lindsay Shaw, and Reagan Galloway, or Lauren Espinosa, we wouldn't be here. But we're here because he's Eric Cantu.
Now the defense goes deeper. They introduce trauma. They're pointing to a past police shooting incident and suggesting it changed everything about this man's behavior. And this is important because courts do consider mental health. But it's not a shield against consequences. It can explain behavior, but it doesn't automatically excuse it. So here's the real question. When someone is struggling mentally, where should the line be drawn between understanding and accountability?
And I would be remiss if I didn't say that, you know, certainly the state's going to get up and argue he's had trouble on probation. He's had multiple violations. This is our third, I believe, hearing. And I understand that. But everything bad that Eric Cantu has ever done started after that night that he was shot by the police department. And it's that type of, and certainly as you could imagine, he suffers from PTSD from that. He suffers tremendously from what they did to him on that night. That case is still pending somehow with the district attorney's office. He's still awaiting his day in court, and that happened many, many years ago. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying there's more to Eric Cantu than just meets the eye, below the surface, if you will. But on this particular instance, with these facts, like I said, understanding the burden, I expect that the court has sufficient evidence, if you will, to find it true. I just hope that the court would, if the court cannot consider continuing on probation, the court would consider granting him 2 years in prison as a sentence. I believe that certainly is these facts and as weak as they are, they're sufficient, but I still believe there's certainly evidence to justify why he went over there. There's certainly evidence to justify what happened. And then there's absolute evidence that if it wasn't for the fact that he was Eric Cantu, we wouldn't be here at all. So when you package all of that together, if the court does decide to send him to TDC, we'd ask you to consider a sentence of 2 years.
All right, thank you. State.
This is a turning point, and the prosecution comes in strong. They bring up the text messages, and suddenly the entire concerned father narrative starts collapsing. Instead of worry, the messages show anger, jealousy, and confrontation. No mention of the child. No urgency about safety. Just emotion, and not the kind that helps his case. This is where evidence overrides explanation. So now ask yourself, when words and actions don't match the story, what do you believe?
Judge, at this time, the state is asking that you grant the state's motion, find the 2 violations true against the defendant, and sentence him to his underlying sentence in TBC. And Judge, I want to echo something that the complainant Emily Prue testified to, and that was that this is more than the iPad, okay? And I want to address the claims from defense that the defendant was so worried about his daughter that that's the reason that he went to the location. States Exhibit 16 through 22 completely eviscerate that defense that they're trying to allege. In these text messages, the defendant is texting the victim, Emily, what happened to us? You're breaking my heart. You're hurting me. Open the fucking door, bitch. You thought you were slick. You're with him, you lying ass bitch. Fuck you, Emily. I caught you. You better answer the phone. In all these text messages, there is not one mention of that 1-year-old daughter. And I want to point out that we're submitting to the court that he's this great father, that he had the audacity to go in there and take the iPad that his daughter uses to watch Dora the Explorer, according to the defense. I want to address the claims that Emily was not going to report this. Okay, she called the 911 3 times, and she was willing to leave work to go and report this crime that occurred against her. And I know the court is aware, that she was under subpoena, and that's the only reason that she testified in this hearing. But I want to address also some other claims that were made at the start of this hearing, which is that this is not family violence and that the state should not be going forward on it. But I would submit to the court that this is the perfect example of a family violence situation where we have a victim that doesn't want to go forward, and a reasonable deduction from the facts is the reason that she doesn't want to go forward is because the only support system that she has is that of the defendant. And that cannot be the status of justice in Bexar County, Judge.
This isn't his first mistake. It's not even his second. This is a pattern, and patterns matter more than excuses in court. The prosecution highlights that this is his third motion to revoke. That tells the judge something very clear: previous chances didn't work. At some point, the system stops asking, why did this happen? And starts asking, why does this keep happening? So how many chances should someone really get before the court says enough is enough?
Judge. And so for those reasons, I do want to point out that this is the defendant's third MTR, and the court is well aware of the history surrounding this case. So there was a first MTR, and then the second one was what it was, and then here we are. But I submit to the court that this defendant has continually thumbed his nose at the orders of this court, and he needs to be held accountable for that. And so we would ask that you find the violations true and sentence him to a prison sentence, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, so the court, based upon the testimony, is going to find violations 1 and 21 true in both motions. I do have some questions, and hopefully parties can answer those questions for me. Number 1, defense made an argument that the defendant didn't have issues, I guess, contact with the criminal justice system until some shooting that happened. I know people assume that I watch the news a lot. I don't watch the news really. I just like to read. So my question is, prior to a shooting that you're saying he had, what was his criminal history?
Judge, if I could just have 1 minute.
Sure. And I only asked this because it was brought up.
What I was referring to was all the problems he has with this court. I want to make sure. I was saying all these problems, the 3 MTRs, the evading case, that's those incidences, those appearances before this court are all after what happened to Eric.
Okay.
And that would be a correct statement, Judge.
Okay. Now, and then this shooting that occurred, does anybody know the year or the date of that?
It occurred in 2022, I believe, Judge.
2022?
Yes, Judge.
And is that a pending case?
It's pending in the 430, October 2nd, 2022. It's pending in the 437th District Court.
And this has been going on since 2022? All right. Now, my other question, and I do remember the previous cases that have been brought before me regarding Mr. Cantu. I believe at the last motion to revoke he had, there were some issues brought up about mental health, and that that was being addressed? Does anyone know anything concerning that, counsel?
Mental health comes up again, but this time it's different. There's no strong evidence of consistent treatment or follow-through, and that matters. Because courts often provide opportunities for help, but they expect effort in return. If someone doesn't fully engage with that help, it weakens their position significantly. So now the judge is looking at the full picture, not just what happened, but what was done to prevent it from happening again.
I know that we talked about it. To my knowledge, he didn't get the help he needed. But part of that, I think, is unfortunately because of the proximity and time between this and when he could have gotten the help.
And Ms. Abrams, do you know whether or not probation addressed any trauma in regards to the shooting, or whether or not that was done privately? Because I seem to recall that a previous attorney said that that was being addressed privately. And I believe that was with his first attorney, maybe.
Judge, so I was not involved in the second MTR, and I was not the ADA on the first MTR.
I think it happened with I think it happened at sentencing for this actual offense.
And I seem to recall regarding the first MTR that defense did put on a witness that was the defendant's therapist, that she testified in that hearing, Judge.
Judge, and he's telling me he had been seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist.
Okay.
And I can, if the court needed the doctor's names, I can provide those.
Oh, no, I seem to recall that when he was first placed on probation, there was a therapist.
I wasn't part of that, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. All right. Is there anything your client wishes to say or no?
No, Judge.
Okay. Probation, what is probation's recommendation?
Judge, one moment.
And is there any objection to the court reviewing the court summary?
No, Judge, I would just have something to add regarding their recommendation.
Okay.
The recommendation that's listed on the court summary was to alter and amend for local ISF followed by ISP for the duration of the probation term, Judge.
Okay. And the court will note that the court previously has alternate amended for
Yes, Judge.
ISF.
Yes, Judge, that's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
All right. If there's nothing further, the court is prepared to make its ruling.
There's nothing further from the state.
Nothing from the defense, Judge.
All right. So, Mr. Cantu, this is what I'm going to tell you. The fact that probation is saying they do not recommend revocation and they want your conditions to be alternate amended to include ISF, the court has previously done that. So I don't think it's appropriate to do it again. The court is going to grant the motion revoked.
And here it is, the decision. Probation is revoked. 2 years in prison. Not the maximum punishment, but enough to show that the court has reached its limit. And listen closely. The judge considered everything: the violations, the explanations, the mental health claims, and still decided incarceration was necessary. That tells you this wasn't about one mistake. It was about a pattern the court could no longer ignore.
The motion revoke. And I'm taking into consideration everything that has been presented to the court. The court is going to sentence you to 2 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. And this is under cause number 2024 CR 1237. This will run concurrent with 2024 CR 1238. I'm going to request the therapeutic community. The therapeutic community, I have no jurisdiction to have them place you in the program. You'll have to ask for it as well. And I'll ask that they place you in the mental health unit. It will be listed in the judgment, but again, you'll have to request it. There is to be no contact with No contact with the complainant. And at his parents' home, are there minors in that home?
No,
All right, there's to be no residing.
but his child,
His child lives in the home? The parents?
the mother of the child lives in his, I mean, the young lady that testified lives in his home.
All right, there's to be no unsupervised contact with minors. So you'll have to have supervision.
And Judge, since the court brought up that he had been to the ISF facility, will the court grant him, since he successfully completed that, will the court grant him that credit?
All right, legally, I must do that. So he'll receive credit for any time served for successful completion
Thank you, Judge.
of inpatient treatment. And then next we'll move on to 2024 CR 1238. In that cause number, as previously stated, the court is finding violation of conditions 1 and 21 true. The court is going to revoke, sentence you to 2 years in the prison. This will run concurrently with 2024 CR 1237. I'm going to request the therapeutic community, the mental health unit. There's to be no contact with the complainant in the burglary. There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors, and you'll receive credit for any time served in successful completion of any inpatient treatment. And each cause number, Mr. Bach? And each cause number, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it? All right, but you do have a limited right to appeal. That right to appeal is as it relates to the allegations in the motion, not the fact that you are on community supervision. Because these are felony convictions, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what that is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. Whatever issues you have that cause you not to be successful, you're going to have to address that. If you don't address that, what's going to end up happening is you're going to continue to potentially have contact with the legal system. You understand? So if you need to seek more therapy, then you need to do that, because otherwise you're going to keep coming back and forth. You understand? All right. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. And defense, you may want to speak with the clerks to see what the time is.
Yeah,
I don't
I'll
have
make sure
that.
they have the dates from
All right, thank you.
the
Thank you.
facility.
All right, is there anyone else who has anything on the docket? Good morning. Yes.
We're not on today's docket, Your Honor, but we will be on.
Okay.
It's a matter that's on appeal with the Court of Criminal Appeals that's on your docket. We were here 4 weeks ago, maybe.
Roughly, it might have been.
Yeah.
So
I
what's
have
happening?
I have the clause numbers.
Do you have what the Court of Appeals?
Oh, this is what's on file with the Court of
That's-
Appeals.
So have they ruled on the petition yet?
They have not.
Do we have,
And we'll check today because I know they oftentimes Wednesday is the day that they do something. But at least as of this morning, last time I checked, they have not.
all right, so if you all could do me a favor, if you all could check, and then if it hasn't been ruled, just send an email, and then you won't have to come in.
Okay.
And your client
To Norma or to you?
to just include Norma in the email, but all parties in the email.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Fair enough.
All right, thank
When do
you.
you want that sent today or?
Oh, no, you all just,
Told me today, my
whenever you all find out,
Okay.
and then if you find out today, hey, they're not going to do anything today, or it's not going to be done Friday, then just send us an email and you and your client won't have to attend court.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And Judge, good morning.
How's the eye?
I had an
Oh, Debbie
appointment
works
on Monday afternoon, the pressures are good, so yeah, they're keeping the same medication, so. No, love to get off steroid, but at the same time, I mean, if it ain't broke, one of those things.
There you go. All right,
But
thank you.
for asking.
All righty.
This case is a powerful reminder of how the justice system balances opportunity and accountability. Eric Cantu was given multiple chances, probation, hearings, and the opportunity to correct his behavior. But ultimately, the court determined that those chances weren't enough to prevent repeated violations. The defense tried to frame his actions as concern and trauma-driven behavior, while the prosecution focused on patterns, evidence, and contradictions. And in the end, the judge sided with the evidence. 2 years in prison. A final consequence after multiple warnings. So, what do you think? Was this the right decision, or should he have been given one last chance?